you all for joining us today. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for joining PCR SBDC today for our food truck focus. It's making me hungry. I missed lunch already, so I don't know about y'all, but I'm excited to talk about food trucks and um, talking and learning a little bit more about the industry and all of the things that you can do if you are interested in food trucks. We've got a great program, and I'm glad for those of you that have come on because not only do we have programming, but we also have prizes and things at the end of our presentation. So we would just ask that you would stay on mute. We will have opportunity for questions and answers with the panelists here today. And so if you feel free, I saw Paul. Thank you, Paul, for putting his information in the chat. Feel free to introduce yourselves into the chat as well, your name, and if you already have a business, feel free to put your name and where everyone can find your business into the chat. We would love to know who you are, and you can share that with others that are on the call. And so we thank you all for joining us today. All right. So I'm Colette Moore. I'm the director of PCR SBDC, and we have been here to help businesses to start, grow, and succeed, survive, and succeed. And I have been a business owner. I previously was a client of PCR SBDC, so I understand the services that you all are receiving and how beneficial they can be to you. And then prior to that, I worked in corporate for many years with Disney and consumer products companies and did a lot of marketing as well. So, but I'm so thrilled to be able to help small businesses to meet their goals. And that is what our team really strives to do. We have two amazing restaurant academy advisors, and we'll cover our restaurant academy. One of our academy advisors, Asia Beard, is actually out on leave, and many of you may know her already. But she is always part of our planning, and so we'll look forward to her return. And we have Celeste Young Ramos, our other Restaurant Academy advisor, and she's going to do a self introduction. Go ahead, take it away.
All right, everyone. I'm Celeste. Welcome to our food truck event. And a little bit about myself. I've been in the restaurant business my entire life. My parents owned restaurants while I was growing up, so that was always what we did before and after school. I've owned my own successful restaurant, and I also worked for Denny's Corporation for many years in various positions, all the way from late night hostess through regional manager, international franchise manager. And I've been supporting independent restaurant, food truck, and cottage food industry people for the last 5 years. So welcome aboard. We're all here to help you. And if you need anything from us, please put your information in the chat.
All right. And so we're going to go over just a couple of background about, for those that may be new to the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center. We are part of the SBA. There are 1,000 centers around the country, and the goal is to stimulate economic growth. And so that means helping small businesses that are so important to our economy to be able to be successful. And we're a proud partner not only with the SBA, but also the state of California. You will see Go Biz as one of the logos that you see on our materials. So we're providing business consulting, training, resources to small businesses throughout LA County. We'll talk a little bit about some of the workshops and things, but our workshops, our individual advisement, all of it is at no cost to no charge to you. There is a cost for this programming, but it is of no charge to you because of the benefactors that support this program. So we have one-on-one advising and the workshops, and the one-on-one advising could be licensing. How do you hire? How do you get a loan? And you all, many of you have worked with us for the last several months as we have worked to teach and train and provide resources about funding during the pandemic, and knowing how difficult that it's been for the small businesses that are in our community. So, government contracting is another area that we provide, looking at certification, marketing, accounting, and those are just some of the areas. And then in terms of workshops, we'll have a complete list of workshops as we proceed towards the back end, but it could be commercial lease checklists, because we saw, and especially for restaurants, not necessarily for food trucks, but for restaurants, you might have a commercial lease. And we found that so many people had, so many businesses had trouble with the commercial leases during the pandemic. We have a checklist. If you are looking at getting into a lease, get your lease checked. We have an advisor that can assist you in this process. Get it reviewed. Do not rush to do it. And so, to make sure that when trouble comes, you know what's in there and have a list that has some favored for you as the business owner. Government contracting, accessing capital. So these are just some of the workshops that we have to share and share with you. And for those that need an advisor, we will put into the chat that you can send us an email and we can make sure that you get registered and have an advisor assigned to assist you with your business. So let's talk about food trucks. I did want to note, I don't know if you all noticed, but Celeste has a line of food trucks. That's why I said she's making me hungry with all the food trucks in her background. And so as we talk about food trucks, actually Asia suggested that you all actually suggested that we cover this in one of our previous workshops. And we're so happy to push it up. And I learned so much about food trucks and the fact that food trucks have grown. So food trucks are, there are about 26,000 businesses in the US in 2022, 2021. There's significant growth actually from, like, when you look from 2013 into 2021 or 2016, it's like 7.5% growth in food trucks. So there's definitely something going on. There is a report on this IBIS World. If you want to get more detail, you can get these general slides from them, but you could pay a fee for some deeper detail if that was something that you were looking for as a small business. But they did provide some of this basic information to show that food trucks, there's some business out there for us. And if you're in California, it seems to be even better. So 201 million in terms of the market size for mobile food, 10 to 20 employees or 19 employees. And you can see the growth here from 2017 to 2019, from 800 million to 985 million. So it's really grown quite a bit. So, and when you look at brick and mortar versus mobile, and our panelists today will talk a little bit about financing and what that means, but entry into the food business is significantly lower for mobile food than it is for brick and mortar. So there's certainly some benefits related to it. And so, why might you choose a mobile truck? Food truck. One is concept testing. Maybe you're not sure which way you want to go. It allows you to test your recipes and see what might work and what might not work before you commit to a permanent location. You can set trends actually here, creating some mashup concepts and things. And then, it can increase brand awareness for you, more access to customers and clients directly, and you can reach other neighborhoods that maybe you could not reach with your classic brick and mortar. So these are just some of the trends on the mobile food side. There is opportunity here, but we want to make sure always that you all are what? Profitable. And because that's how you are sustainable. So that's the purpose of this presentation today. That is, as you are planning, and even if you have a food truck and are continuing to work, we want to make sure that you are profitable so that you can stay in business and then take that money and invest it how you see fit. So, the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to take an audience poll. So, we want to know, what stage are you in your food truck business? And the poll is going to be shared here. So, are you just thinking about it? Do you already have a food truck? Or are you a restaurant maybe looking to add a food truck? So, let us know where you are in this process. And I see some of you all already. Thank you for recording and putting an answer to the survey here. All right, 10 seconds, please. All right, so most of you are thinking about it. We'll share this. That's what it looks like here. All right.
Mm.
So most of you are thinking about a food truck, which is great. And so I'm so glad that you're on to get the real skinny on food trucks. And before we even got on this call, our presenters were sharing some insights about food trucks. And so I'm so glad that you guys are, as you're thinking about it, getting it. And then for those that already have a food truck or restaurant, we have models here that will be able to assist you with that. So can you guys see those results there? So thank you guys for responding to that. All right, so Celeste is going to take us through the Restaurant Academy. For those of you that have not participated yet, we encourage you to participate, and then we're going to go straight into our panelists after that. Oh, last thing, please stay on. If I didn't mention it, we do have a spin the wheel. So I appreciate all of you guys that came in. You got in early. You will be part of the spinning the wheel because we have prizes to share. And so I'm glad you all are on because our team, they can't do it after like 2:30. So all of y'all that are in now, you are able to participate in the spin the wheel. So hold on as we get to the end. But we're happy that you joined. Celeste?
All right. So this last year, we created a restaurant academy where we pulled out some of the things that we thought were the key points in creating a food service business. So whether you're starting a restaurant, a cottage food, street vendor, food truck, anything that you want to go for that's food related, we've put together these great classes that will help you. So we have one class on how to start up your business and get all the permits, cost controls and improving margins and being profitable. There's a great class on California Human Resources, which takes you through all the labor laws that you need to know. Take you through how to manage a restaurant or manage other employees. Also, we give you a lot of opportunity to network with other food service operators. So we'll show you the whole roster of courses that we offer each month, and it'll be a little bit later in our slides today. But the three key components and benefits to you is that you can get free one-on-one advising, and this is from your startup through the startup process, or even if you're already in place and you just want to fine tune an area that you feel you're a little weak. Like a lot of people tell me, I know how to operate things, but I'm not great at the accounting, so we have advisors here to support you with that. Also, we're rotating our workshops. We have 2 a week, every single week, and we rotate some new ones in monthly. And then lastly, we have these quarterly panels. They're usually the 3rd Monday of the first month of the quarter following, so we'll give you the date a little bit later here. Can't remember what it is right off my head at this point. But here are the classes that we have. We have business planning and licensing and safe, clean kitchens to get your health inspections correct. We have know your numbers in accounting, human resources, how to be an effective restaurant leader, food truck, food trailer and street vendor guidelines. We're going to be bringing on a menu engineering class, cottage foods. We're doing hiring and retention right now, which is like a key one for everybody, right? Because it's so hard to find people. We want to know how to track them and keep them on, and also how to prevent COVID in the workplace. Even though that we have opened up, there's still been 1,000 new infections each day lately. So we need to be very vigilant there. And here are going to be our panelists tonight. We have Greg Doolin from Doolinville. We have Chris Menard from Burnt to a Crisp. And we have Vanessa Punche from LA Grind Coffee and Tea Bar. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about their bios at this point. So Greg, I think he said he's out in Tennessee right now, if I'm not mistaken. So we might see him out there getting some barbecue or swatting some mosquitoes away. But Greg is Los Angeles premier soul food caterer and restaurateur. He's an LA native and is a prime example of a business owner turning passion into profit. The owner-operator of 3 successful family-owned soul food restaurants in Los Angeles and Inglewood, Greg oversees Doolin's on Crenshaw and Doolin's Catering while continuing to provide a wealth of knowledge, opportunity, and resources to the community as he continues to grow with Hotville Chicken's owner, Kim Price, to create Doolinville. And we're going to get to see his monster truck in just a moment. It's quite bad. It's amazing. We also have Chris Menard. He's with Burnt to a Crisp. And the idea of Burnt to a Crisp was born from the minds of him and his Texas best friend since 6th grade. His name is Phil Leggett. One day while sitting on the couch, they moved out here to California, and one day while sitting on the couch longing for the taste of their home state barbecued and tired of their side jobs, they thought about selling barbecue sandwiches from a push cart. Instead of letting the idea pass them by, they decided to stay persistent, and after a year of planning, the idea was brought to fruition and grew into a gourmet food truck. Chris has had his truck for 8 years now. He has 2 trucks actually. And his partner decided to go back to Texas to be closer to home. So Chris is in charge of the entire empire at this point. And then we have one of our other new food truck people, Vanessa. She's the founder and CEO of LA Grind Coffee and Tea Bar, your coffee house on wheels. She retired from UCLA in 2019 after nearly 25 years of service to run her full-time business. She's currently a mobile beverage caterer with nearly 3 years in the business with a food truck and a coffee brand. And her coffee is sourced from Cameroon and can be found at the Wonderful Market in Inglewood and the North Star Market in Gardena. And she is getting her first brick and mortar coffee shop. And that is getting ready to start shortly, like in about a month. So let's welcome them all aboard. And I just realized the one thing I didn't do was plug in my power cord. So that's what we're going to be doing now.
So while Celeste is plugging in
There
her
we go.
power cord, we can share with you the trucks.
Yes.
And these are some really great, beautiful trucks. And as you look at them all together, one of the things you notice is just how colorful they are and how appealing they might be to consumers to want to participate. You know, you want to go for these trucks. And I love these. They're not the old white trucks of the past.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have really done something special with these. And I'm sure that we will hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah, definitely. They are beautiful trucks for sure. All right, so let's go to our next slide. So here, once again, are going to be our panelists. I'll be asking them a series of questions today, and we'll also have some time reserved for you to ask some questions as well. So when we get to the question time, we'll have you raise your hand or put your question in the chat, and we'll ask them directly. All right, so let's see. Are we going to share their photo, take off the screen and see their photos or see them face to face? And I guess we might need to pin you guys so you can come up to the top. So there's Vanessa.
And they are pinned, I believe.
They are pinned.
Okay, very good. Because I can only see Vanessa right now.
They're all here.
Okay, all right. So, well, let's start off with Vanessa today. So Vanessa, you had a long career at UCLA, and what caused you to say, hey, I want to stop with that and become a food truck operator?
Yes. Hi, everyone. So I basically started my business after, and some of the guests on the call probably know my story, but I'm going to share with everyone. So I basically started my business because of the incident that happened in 2018 at a Starbucks in Philly, where they arrested 2 African-American men for basically doing nothing. that was it for me and Starbucks. I cut the cord. And I just knew that I could come up with the product, come up with resources, and start my own coffee brand, which basically is what I did. So I started tabletop. It was my side hustle. And the side hustle was doing so well, like on weekends and whatnot, that I decided to push myself into retirement. I was in management, and I, was sending out invoices, proposals, and it just clicked one day. I was like, if you're making this, just on a weekend, on a part-time basis, just imagine what you can do full-time with this thing. My first big contract, I had to do hot chocolate for 3,000 people. Yes.
Wow.
Once I did that, I knew there was nothing I couldn't do. So I said, okay, I need to get a food truck. And I knew the food truck would bring me the money that I needed to get to push myself into the brick and mortar. I retired in May of 2019, got the truck in July 2019. At that point, I was in a contract, hear me, I was in a contract at LAX before I had the truck. So the Uber Lyft lot, a guy reached out to me, and I had been there since the inception up until the pandemic. So I encourage you guys to stay on social media. Oh, and I also got to give a shout out to Carnisha. Carnisha brought my truck to me. She was on OfferUp one day, and she said, "Oh, girl, I saw a coffee truck." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll look at it," but I kind of had my eye on something else. So the something else fell through, and I ended up getting this truck. And it's the truck that she, said, "Hey, by the way, I was on OfferUp and I saw this coffee truck and thought about you." I bought that truck. So retirement money, I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but retirement money afforded me, I own my truck. I didn't want to rent, I didn't want to lease. So I had a goal in mind. I pretty much like to own my own stuff, if you will. So I self-funded. And then just going back now, so I was in a contract at LAX, doing extremely well. I was doing large events, and I knew I could take the truck anywhere versus being stationary. And I'm sure Chris can attest to this, being, I can go anywhere in that truck. And I did. I was doing several large events, and I did them scared. I couldn't, I was nervous to even drive the truck. I was afraid to drive the truck. That's the biggest thing I had ever had to handle. When they told me it was 10,000 pounds, I'm like, oh my gosh, but now I get in it and I go. So, and having a food truck and going to a commissary is not for the faint of heart, because I used to like to wear my pumps and all that cute stuff. The truck is a whole different life.
That's for sure.
But worth it.
All right. So thank you very much, Vanessa. Chris, tell us a little bit about why you got into the food truck, and have you had any challenges getting started up?
Hey y'all, I'm Chris Menard, the owner of Burnt to a Crisp Texas Smokehouse, and me and my best friend got in the business right around like 2013, around March. We had odd and end jobs, and we just decided, hey, we want to bring the taste of Texas out to California. We felt like when we were back in Texas, there was always barbecue places on every corner, and out here, not a lot what we're used to. So we had a family connection down in Texas with meat, and we put together our business plan. It took us about a year or so to do it. Slow but sure. We're from Texas, so we're a little slower than everybody. And so we're moving, and we finally decided to get a food truck. We got some help from people at our commissary at La Raza. They helped us with our business plan and stuff like that. And then we started off, and luckily enough, when we started, we got a lot of support from people from Texas out here. There's, surprisingly or not, there's tons of Texans out here. So they came to our truck. Our colors are burnt orange and black. So we put those colors out there for the University of Texas. I went to college at St. Edwards. He graduated from University of Texas. So we're kind of focused on that market. And then throughout the 8.5 years, we've had a lot of ups and downs. And employee wise was the most difficult thing. We've got a good team, but it's taken us a lot to get that. And COVID was another thing that just took us by surprise, like everybody. And we had to adapt to a lot of things and change more or less our entire business plan. And that's when he went back home like in October, and we separated the business. And now I'm 100% owner, and it's been fun. It's a lot more work than not having another two hands with me, but I have a lot of respect for everybody that has done it by themselves in this business, because I've always had a business partner to do it with. And now I'm learning how to balance my time a lot more and try to advance this business to a lot probably bigger and better things. So appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you, Chris. So Greg, you already own brick and mortar, but you decided to branch out into a monster truck we see. You guys look dwarfed in comparison standing to that truck. So tell us exactly how big that truck is and why you decided to get a food truck.
I don't know why I decided to get a food truck, honestly. No, seriously. When I was looking at getting a food truck, and I was scouting out commissaries, which is the place you park the truck, one of the guys who ran the commissary said, "Sir, what?" He said, "You don't want to do this." He said, "It's a lot of hard work," and he was right. But I got the truck anyway. I've been in the food business for 30 years. My family, I'm a second generation restaurant owner. We own Doolin's Soul Food. And then along with my partner, Kim Prince, we own Hot Bill Chicken, which is in the Baldwin Hills Mall. And the initial reason I got the food truck is something I've been working on for a couple of 2 or 3 years. But the reason I got the food truck was because I have been planning to do a major renovation at my restaurant on Crenshaw. And my thought was to get a food truck so that I could park the food truck outside the restaurant, which would allow me to shut the restaurant down completely and still maintain my customer base. And so as luck would have it, I just found out last week that my construction date is going to start on August 10th. And so I will be closing my restaurant for 6-7 months, beginning in about 3 weeks. And I'm going to operate the food truck. And so that was my initial strategy. Later, however, I entered into the hot chicken business with Hot Bill. And I decided that Hot Bill needed to be promoted like Doolin's. And so I got the idea of creating a dual branded truck, which is something I had never seen before. And so Hot Bill Chicken is just over a year old. And Kim and I decided to dual brand the truck. And so if you look at that picture that you put up of the truck, you'll notice that we call the truck Doolinville. And if you look at the design, on one half of the truck, the design, the coloring is green with a black background, and on the other side it's red, and you have the Doolin on the green side and the Ville on the other side, and we call it. We describe the truck as classic soul food and Nashville hot chicken in one amazing truck.
Wow.
And so when I designed the kitchen in the truck, I designed a kitchen that would support both brands. So we have some special design features inside the truck that allow us to do a completely dual soul food menu one day, and then we can turn around the very next day and do a completely Nashville hot chicken menu, and the truck is efficient for both menu styles. And so, so I'm thinking about the truck to support me during my construction period.
Yeah.
But obviously, the construction period is going to be over at some point, and I will still have the truck. And so, what I decided to do was get a second truck, and I took one of my old 13-foot box trucks, and I converted it to a support truck. It does not have cooking equipment on it, but it's like a prep kitchen on wheels. And so my concept was to have a mobile restaurant. And so when I take the two trucks out together, I believe I have more refrigeration capacity than the average truck. I have more prep space. I have more prep space, storage space. And so the two trucks in tandem can actually go out and, operate for quite a period of time and serve quite a few number of people without having to be restocked, reloaded, and things like that. So I actually have a mobile restaurant when you put the two trucks together. Another design feature that I did was on a typical food truck, the service window is on the passenger side. On the support truck, I put the service window on the driver's side. And if you can envision that, if you think about that for a minute, service window on the driver's side on the support truck, service window on the passenger side on the food truck. That means the two service windows are on the same side when I park the trucks back to back. This gives me an additional service window to serve beverages, desserts, what have you. And when the two trucks are parked back to back, we often leave the doors open on both trucks. And so now I have this long galley, this long, instead of a 26-foot kitchen, I have almost a 60-foot kitchen that I can operate on, but it's all mobile. You feel me? So I tried to design something that can be a mobile restaurant because ultimately I'm going to go out to the Inland Empire. I want to be able to go maybe to other cities and take soul food because soul food is so rarely found in the state of California.
All right. Well, thank you, Greg. Those are some very creative ideas. I definitely can envision that long aisle down the middle. And one thing you mentioned was putting it in front of your restaurant. I have seen people use that for smaller footprint restaurants where maybe during the day they've operated as a restaurant or a market, and then at night they bring their truck out and it doubles their space by parking it in front of the building. So that's a really great strategy you mentioned there. So let's go back to Vanessa. So Vanessa, did you choose to lease or purchase your truck? It sounds like you got a used truck, correct?
Yes, I did get a used truck. I was pretty intentional, like probably Greg and Chris. I didn't need the fryers and all of that stuff. I needed an espresso machine. And obviously the other stuff involved the 3-compartment sink, the hand washing sink, a refrigerator, a freezer, to be able to do, all my beverages. And then I just want to piggyback on what Greg said. So my brick and mortar is under construction right now. I've taken my truck and parked it right in front. Is marketing strategy to let people know, hey, this is me, we're coming here. So people are loving it, and I'm moving into an existing coffee shop, the person that left out. But yeah, so going back to your question, I chose to, find a truck that was, get a truck that was already built out as a coffee truck. It just made things in life a lot easier for me. So I wouldn't have to change the footprint because you got to get all that stuff inspected. And so I just pretty much moved in on top of what they already had. It was a pretty easy transition. It just went from like one owner to the other. I still had obvious fees, just like the coffee shop. They were recently inspected, so I'm just moving in and transferring the title. I don't have to, do any, put in sinks and all of that. It's move-in ready. I'm just, changing it for my specification.
All right, Vanessa. So Chris, did you start off by leasing or purchasing?
Started off leasing, and I still lease both of our trucks right now from the same people we started off with. And for me personally, leasing was a better decision for our business at the time. And through the 8 years, like I was saying, some hiccups we ran into, like one winter, which is slow for the food truck business. We blew out 3 engines, and that's 7 G's a piece. That probably at the time would have taken us out of business, but since we're leasing, it goes to the leasing company doing that. And there's a lot of things that have happened on our truck. We bounce around everywhere too, just breaking down at 12 or 1 a.m. and having the leasing company and their contacts already with the mechanics and stuff. I'm sure Vanessa and Greg know about the mechanics in this business. You have to make sure you have somebody you can trust show up and actually do a good job to get you back on the road and moving. And for that's why I chose leasing. Some of the business plans, companies that were successful at the time that I was trying to model our business after, like the grilled cheese truck, and at the beginning with Cousins Maine Lobster, they were leasing their trucks from some people, and I felt like they were being successful at that time, and I just wanted to kind of copy them more or less and see if our business could go like theirs. So that's kind of why we chose to lease.
And Cousins is one of the biggest food truck companies in the country right now. So can you give us a little sample of like how much, if I was going to possibly lease a truck, how much would I have to pay for the lease and how much would I have to pay for the commissary fees? Because a lot of people don't realize commissary fees are also need to be paid.
Yeah, for us leasing our trucks, we pay right around $1,800 a month for each truck. And then to start off leasing, you have to put a down payment like anything else. So it's about $3 to $4 grand, probably 2 months worth of rent. And that's pretty much what you're given for the lease company. For the commissary, the prices are going up. Like I've been with the commissary for a long time and have a relationship with them. So my commissary bill is probably a little bit lower than what they're charging. I know they're charging at La Raza $1,250 a month, and then you have to put a deposit, but that deposit goes down to you can get groceries from them. They have a store in there like Costco or Sam's, stuff like that. So you can use your $1,000 deposit for food, and then they take it. You just have to pay it off every week. And those are the expenses of leasing. No matter if you buy your truck too, you're going to have to put it in the commissary. So you're going to have that expense. There's a lot more commissaries now than there were when we started. There's a lot of smaller ones, so I'm sure you can shop around and get cheaper prices. I know La Raza is one of the most expensive ones. They have a lot of stuff like the store and ice, propane. You don't have to go anywhere else to get all that stuff. And they actually worked really well with a lot of trucks during COVID too, with paying off and things. So it's a family-run business, and they work with you because if you're not successful, they're not successful either. So they want their money, so they want you to be working.
Yeah, definitely. So commissaries are locations where in Los Angeles County, you're required to park your truck every day. And that's where you're going to like dump your water and load water and take your grease out of your truck. Because like Greg said earlier today, if we all just went on the side of the street and started cleaning our trucks, we'd probably start a rat epidemic, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's where we take care of all the dirty work. How about Greg? I'm sure it seems like you guys probably purchased your truck.
Yeah, we took a different approach because I am going to be depending on the truck to function as my restaurant for several months. I did not want to take the risk of having a used truck that I buy, because when you buy a used truck, you never really know what you're getting. I didn't want to take the risk of having, purchasing something that wouldn't be reliable. So I decided to buy a brand new truck from Ford. I got it from Ford, Hawthorne Ford. They actually specialize in food trucks. And then I had it built out. And let me tell you, it starts up every time. It purrs like a tiger, and it's just a great vehicle to drive. I was able to finance the truck through PCR, Pacific Coast Regional, and then you just have to do your build out. Because as I mentioned, I had the two distinct restaurant concepts that I needed to design the kitchen for. So it was important to me to start from scratch or from a blank slate so that I can build the kitchen that I needed for the two restaurant concepts that I operate off the truck, if that makes sense.
So how long did it take for the build out to occur?
The build out takes about, it depends on your builder and how busy he is, but it can take anywhere. It should take about 4 months. Mine took a little bit longer. Mine took about 5. It should take about 4 months.
Okay,
can be faster, can be slower.
Yeah. We've been getting reports because of COVID that it's been taking longer to get trucks built out. And if you do need a list of places that you can get your trucks built out, I have a list that we can provide to you for all the ones that the LA County recommends. Okay, so let's go to our next question. Vanessa, what were some of the unexpected expenses that you incurred that maybe you didn't plan for? Or it could be expenses or any kind of challenge that you didn't really plan for.
I think for me, an unexpected challenge. I mean, I guess in the back of my mind, I knew I was going to have to do this, but it still was very daunting. Just driving the truck. Yeah, you gotta, it's not for the faint of heart. Like if I had an event that started at 2, because I wasn't sure of myself on the freeway yet, I would take the street. So, that means I need to leave a little earlier. And I would only take things that were like in LA. But then, I branched out. I've done Rose Bowl. I've gone out to Altadena. So, I mean, the ability to drive the truck, because I'm driving it. I'm the only one that drives the truck. So the ability to drive the truck, I have a generator. I had an issue with the generator. One day I did an event at Dodger Stadium and I left the inside panel light on. I probably had a line of 100 people. The generator, everything shut off and I couldn't do nothing for the rest of the day. Now I had already, got a good traction, probably a good hour and a half worth of, sales and work, but I had about another 2 to 3 hours left and I couldn't, so that would have been something unexpected. You gotta think about those things because we left home in the dark. So when I turned on the inside panel of the light, I think we had to be at Dodger Stadium like by 6 a.m. and it wasn't quite light yet. So I had turned it on, was looking for some stuff. I forgot to turn it off. So it shut everything down. So I don't know if you guys have experienced that. So that was one of the things. And I want to kind of piggyback off of what Chris said. So leasing versus owning. So for me, I literally made what I paid for the truck. I paid $40,000 for my truck. I made that back by the end of 2019. So if you guys, put your heart and soul into it, I know things are opening back up, and finding these big events, you can make some good money. And I see Chris shaking his head. You can make some really good money. Like in a day, I could, work a few hours a day, and I've made, some good money, and I may not have to go out every day in the week. So
Excellent. Thank you, Vanessa, for the information. Chris, how about for you? Was there any unexpected expense or challenge you may have struggled with?
The most unexpected expense on my end was the third-party bookers for the food trucks, for events, for office spots, for lunch, things like that. They've kind of gotten really aggressive in the past like 3 or 4 years, not from when we started. And the bookers, for long story short, they're in the middleman for you to get a spot. And you don't really need to use them, but they have control over a lot of lunch spots, which was our business plan. And now after COVID, a lot of apartment buildings and things like that. And they're going into events now where you have to spend like, say, $800 for a weekend to do it. And you're not guaranteed to make money on that. You do all the prep, you take all the risk, you give them $800, and then you go over there and make $200. It kind of affects your business a little bit. But yeah, that was super surprising to me. And it's just the way how aggressive they are and how they kind of believe they control the business. And like a lot of new truckers come in and think you have to work with them. And that takes a lot of people out of business because they're just thinking about themselves. So you just have to be careful with that and know your numbers. It's like there's a certain percentage that for people's business that can come out for that and not. In mine, I try not to have more than 5% come out for bookers. And that hurt us in the middle when they started getting aggressive, and then we've adapted to it. And it's like anything else, there's going to be people coming in trying to take your money for all different types of things. So you just have to keep your eyes on your numbers and make sure it makes sense. And that's the main thing that I can think of in this business is pay attention to your numbers, because you have to be tight. And when you make money, you can make a lot of money really quick, as Vanessa said, but there's a lot of money going out the door too as well. So you just have to make sure that's not going out too much.
So Chris, since you were talking about bookers and location, how do you choose a good location? Because that's everyone's always asking, where should I park my truck?
One place, like me and my business partner have a spot in Burbank where we built it ourselves and nobody used to go. Now everybody goes there because of COVID. And it's next to a Ralph's, a CVS, a bank, and a very busy road. It's off of Buena Vista and Victory in Burbank. And we picked that spot because our business plan was to get caterings in the studios as well. So all the grips and the craft services guys drive on that road and sample our food and then hire us for caterings there. And that's why it's just like where foot traffic is for the most part. Like banks and grocery stores are perfect because people are taking money out and then go and get food. And most of the time when you go to the grocery store, you're buying food, but you're not really wanting to cook that day. You're going to cook probably the next day. So they come out of the grocery store and they're like, oh, I'll get a little bit of barbecue today and then I'll cook something tomorrow. So that's kind of where we focused on those spots.
And how about you, Greg? Was there any unexpected expenses or challenges you faced getting your truck going?
Well, I guess for me, it's just the cost of building out the kitchen. And I know everybody's gonna say, how much does it cost? Well, to build a kitchen from scratch can cost $100,000 or more. So, that was a big expense that I looked at as an investment. A lot of that cost is covering the labor of the folks building the truck, because when you actually look at the equipment is not that much. Mm-hmm. So a lot of it is the labor that you're paying these craftsmen to build your vehicle. So that's why you have to make sure that you really do your research when you're looking at the company or the people that you choose to build kitchen or remodel your kitchen or do the work on your truck. Because if you choose the wrong people, you might end up with a really bad job, a crappy job, and then you've wasted a lot of money. And so, word of mouth, reputation is important. Recommendations from organizations like PCR is important.
Mhm.
And just any other trick or that you can use to make sure that you're selecting a good partner, a good company, a good builder to build out your truck. It is extremely, extremely important. And you want to have a good relationship with that person or that company, which I found helpful. So yeah, building out a kitchen is not cheap.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much. And I guess could you just describe the operation of your day from start to finish so we can get kind of a realistic idea of what the life of a food truck operator is? Maybe we can start with you, Vanessa.
Yes. So pre-pandemic, when I was going out to LAX every day, my morning started at 4:30. I think I was leaving home about 4:30 in the morning, drive to the commissary, unload my vehicle with anything that I may have had at home that I needed to put on the truck, park my vehicle, then go to back to my truck, make whatever I was going to make. And that generally was just put on a big pot of coffee before I get to LAX. So that way, because they were coming and they were asking for the coffee. So I would usually leave the commissary by 5:30 in the morning. And I would probably pull up at LAX because at that point I would get on the 110, but I wouldn't get on the 105 because I was scared. So I would get off and then just drive the street down. I'd get there about 6:30, like clockwork. I'd plug my truck in. And that's another thing. Plugging your truck in is a beautiful thing. You don't have to run your generator. I plug my truck in, do what I need to do, just set up, get my my flavors out, everything that I needed for the day. And then I'd open my window and the day would just, go from there. But it was a, early morning. So it could be like a 12-hour day. I got to the point where I didn't need to go every day. The contract was pretty lenient. So like Wednesdays was my day where I would do something else. I have a vending machine. So I would go service my machine. But it's a long day. I mean, and then when I left the commissary, I may go to Restaurant Depot. Okay, I need this, for my inventory. I need to go do this. So, and I would try to get in bed by like 7:30, 8 o'clock because I knew I was going to be back up. So it's a long day. It was very rewarding. I will say I loved tips. I was living off of tips. You got to have that personality, you want to interact with, and not for fake, I mean, like a genuine connection with your customers. I mean, I literally lived off of my tips. It was a beautiful thing. But yeah, it's a long day, but I loved it. I completely loved it.
That's great. I can tell you're really enjoying yourself. Chris, did your day fluctuate from any time that Vanessa described? And also, how many people did you have working on your truck at one time?
The most we've had is 8 for our team. And now we have pretty much like 5 and then 1 part-time, really like 10 hours a week, so kind of 6 people. Our days, when pre-COVID, everything's completely changed for me since COVID, but pre-COVID, we would do, our focuses were lunch and dinner. So we'd have doubles every day. I would get my guys there, or I would get there to prep around 8 o'clock in the morning. And then we would take off right around 10 from the commissary and then do a lunch from 11 to 2. And then we would come back, depending how far it was, by 3 o'clock. And then I would kind of have another team come in, unless the guys would want more hours. And then we would do a shift from 5 to 9 for night times. And those were normally around bars, breweries, apartment complexes, things like that. before COVID, those places didn't hit as well for numbers. It was kind of lunches made me the money, and then dinners paid the bills.
Mhm.
And since COVID happened, my shifts are all 4 to 9 o'clock or later. So my guys get there at 1, 2 o'clock, and then they're not off until probably midnight. And
Mhm.
for us, our prep's a little bit quicker than everybody now because we have our meat gets shipped out here twice a week from Texas. So we have it's just bringing up the meat and stuff like that. So we're not. I know trucks that have to get there if you're doing a lunch. They're starting prep at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. So our prep, we've been doing it for 8.5 years. Luckily enough, I have pretty much all my same employees from when we started, besides the people that we had to get let go and make changes. So my main people are still the same. So they know exactly what to do, and it's super easy on their ends.
So how are you keeping them when you're starting up with a new truck and you're kind of unsteady? You don't know how busy you're going to be. How do you keep and find those employees?
When we started the new truck, that was just our big bump in the road. We hired a couple of people, and it didn't end up working out. That was our main thing. We tried to build it up. We ate a little bit of money because we wanted everybody trained and stuff when we opened up the second truck, and then it didn't work out that way. And we lost a lot of people then. And then for reasons like the commissary is a very crazy place, as Vanessa was saying. So if you have employees with vices or things like that, like drug problems, that comes into play at the commissary for sure. So that's why we had to let go of a lot of our people, because drugs came into play. Some of them got cleaned up. 2 years later, they're back on the truck with me right now. So to keeping them, that's the hardest part, because other food trucks want your employees if they stay with you. So you just have to keep them happy. Like I give them tons of bonuses, like for Yelp, for customer service. If somebody calls me and is like, "Oh, I really liked Jesus today," da 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 da, and I'm like, "Here, Jesus, here's an extra $10," because my main thing is I'm not going to make everybody happy with our food. Some people might not like Texas barbecue, but customer service is something that there's no excuse for. So they have to bring that Texas hospitality, as I say it, because that's what me and my business partner always brought. And that's tough getting people to understand that. But sorry about my dog, y'all. And then, yeah, he got excited. But that's the most important part of our truck is customer service.
Right. Well, and it sounds like choosing the right commissary and finding one that's going to be close to where you're going frequently for the day is going to be important too, so you don't waste a lot of road time. All right, we're going to actually go to some questions in the chat. So if you have questions, please put those in the chat so we can make sure that we answer everyone's questions.
And Celeste, we have a question here from Don. What sort of safety methods are required for the restaurants or food trucks to put in place to minimize disease spread, and what's actually being done in your business?
Okay, why don't we start with Greg with that one? Greg, what's your plan? I know you've been going through COVID and had to make some adjustments to your restaurant. What are some of the things you might be putting in place to protect your staff in the food truck? You're on mute, by the way. We can't hear Kim giggling in the background.
Oh, yeah. It's just a bunch of people waiting on the fried fish here.
I know.
So we prepare the food for the food truck in the restaurant, and so that we don't have to crowd up the food truck with a lot of staff. And the food that and then when we go out to serve, actually we haven't been taking the truck out that much during COVID. Mm-hmm. And our strategy is not a daily route type of strategy. We're more of a special event type of truck. Again, when we start construction next month, then we will be taking the truck out on a daily basis. But we've been preparing food in the restaurant You know, the restaurant is closed during certain hours, and so we bring in a skeleton crew to prepare the food in the restaurant to put on the truck. And then when we take the truck out, you know, we have certain things that we do to minimize our staff on the truck. We package the food individually. We package the food individually in sealed containers for the safety of our guests. And, you know, and it's just the general cleaning. We have a great cleaning crew that cleans the truck when we return in the evening. Obviously, we wear our masks and our sanitizers, things like that. A great percentage of our staff has been vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we just try to do those types of things.
Right. Excellent. All right. So let's go over to Chris. Let's see what the next question is.
So we have another question here. As a new business launching, how much capital would you recommend that you need prior to launching a food truck business? Also, what information would you wish you had known prior to starting your food truck? And maybe just one of those.
For me and my business partner, we started off with a $30K loan, and that gave us, after like the down payments and everything like that with the truck, getting your wrap. That's another thing, an expense that I didn't even say was the wrap expense. Those are kind of expensive. They're $4,000 give or take, depending on who you get it from. So, excuse me. And so those, having 15K give or take cushion, I would have liked to have a little bit more of a cushion when we started off, because like I said, we got lucky. Our truck started making money the first month. And so we didn't have to really dip into that. But that being said, there's a lot of stuff that can happen. I've seen people that have had great ideas, the best chefs I've ever seen in the food truck game. And they didn't have a cushion of money and they just went out of business. They couldn't make it happen. So I would say probably like a loan of 40 grand would probably work out good in the business. So you don't have to stress about the day to day, like right when you start off. Like you'll have that cushion and you can make some decisions, figure out the business, because you're going to have to figure out your clientele, who's going to like your food and stuff like that. Me and my business partner, the first place we went to, we sold one drink. We didn't even sell any food, but at least we sold that one drink, you know? And then, so like, we're like, oh, wow, we really made a mistake, didn't we, on this? And then over time, it started working out. And then, like I said, like that one day was bad. The second day we started selling food. Third day we were doing things that we never knew. We got hit up for a catering for like the Arsenio Hall show when he came back, and they were like 300 people catering for his opening night, and we were like, okay, we had no clue how to get that done, but we decided and we did it and we figured it out, and we made way too much food, obviously, but they were happy with the leftovers, and you just have to figure it out. And but I think the cushion would be between 30 and 40,000 for a food truck, especially if you're leasing it.
Right. So Chris was saying that he's looking to do a trailer instead of a truck. So for those of you who don't know, you can get a trailer also, which usually has more space than a food truck to operate in, but you then have to have another truck to pull the trailer. So that can be even more challenging with the parking for sure. So Vanessa, someone's asking, what do you do with like personal, like you have to go, you're out on your truck, you don't have a bathroom on the truck. How do we take care of those kind of needs?
Yeah, so you're supposed to park within, I want to say 200 feet of a restroom. So like if we went down the street and I parked at my local, like in front of my local Ralph's, we're using that bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm doing events, obviously there's going to be a restroom. I've been fortunate enough, I've gotten calls to do coffee. So like a lot of the movies or the TV series are ending. So they're calling me out to do those things as a treat for their crew. But I'm only there for, maybe 2 hours. So, I make sure I go before I get on the truck and I'm good, drinking the product. So, I mean, it works out, but you have to be mindful. And yeah, so part of the regulations, when you do get your truck, they do tell you that you need to be within certain feet of a restroom so your staff can use the restroom. Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll have to submit your food truck route as well, so the health inspectors can come and do inspections as well.
Oh, yeah.
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 So, how much is a brand new food truck? So I would say they're, depending on what you want to put on them, they're like 75 to up to 125, or you can go even bigger than that, depending on all the bells and whistles that you put on there. Okay. And as mentioned, PCR does do financing of business startups, so you can always contact us if there's funding that you may need. They do require that you do put up some capital or collateral, of course, because we know there's always, in the restaurant business, is one of the businesses that people can get into sometime without a good plan. So you definitely have to have a business plan made too. So we're here to help you with making your business plan. All right, let's see what other question we may have.
And I see David has a hand raised, but
Oh,
David,
please,
if you can put your question into the chat, that would be great. And then someone also had a question, this was for Vanessa, about the timing. So, people don't just drink coffee for breakfast, mornings definitely. But you put your answer in here, but you get calls from the production companies. All right, great. Thank you for adding that in.
And Latoya asked about, are the vendors trademarked? If so, what was the process like? Did any of you guys trademark your brand
I did.
or your logos? So what was that like, Vanessa?
I went through PCR. Yeah, so I just one day, and this is during COVID. I talked to Asia and I asked her. I said, "Hey, I want to trademark my brand," and so she connected me with the trademark attorneys, and the rest, you have to pay for the actual filing, if you will, but they do all of the paperwork. They'll ask you certain questions that you'll need to address specific to your brand. Are you also branding the cups? Are you branding your hats? Are you saying, when did you start using LA Grind Coffee and Tea Bar? So yeah, I just felt it was, and it may not have been necessary, but I just felt it was an extra thing. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I will say, you guys, copyright is an option as well. So you don't have to trademark. That is an option. So there are some other ways to get that done. We do have an advisor, a legal advisor that can help at least direct you on which way you may want to go and how much you want to spend and that type of thing. So there are a couple of different ways to try to protect your brand. And so, but that's great, Vanessa. So now you have some protection and then you can add items to it as time goes on. So yeah, great. But
Greg,
we do have some resources. Go ahead.
Greg, did you do similar, did you trademark yours as well? You're on mute, by the way.
Greg says he needs that service. You put in the chat.
He needs that service.
Yeah, I need that service.
Okay.
My truck is so new, I just haven't had a chance to do that yet, but I'm going to.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we can help you, Greg.
Okay, Chris, how about like you mentioned the bookers, how do you go about finding a booker, and how do you know if where you want to park is okay to park?
You're on mute, Chris.
My bad, y'all. Sorry about that. No, you can pretty much park wherever any cars park. So that's not really a problem. You just want to make sure you're close to a restroom and things like that. And for the bookers, they have tons of email lists, and honestly, they will find you before you find them.
Yeah,
they'll find. They know when all the new trucks come. But the best way also is I always try to help out a lot of people at our commissary, because so many people helped me out 8 years ago to get me to where I was. So just try to befriend one of the older trucks, because I know who all the good bookers are, the bad bookers, and the good spots. They're going to try to make you go to some bad spots to get the good spots, but you shouldn't have to do that. So you should know, just have that knowledge, so you don't go and prep for $1,000 shift and make 200 bucks. Because a lot of times the bookers will tell you you're going to go make $1,000 bucks, but you're not. And like I said, keeping your numbers, talking to somebody that's a little bit older in the business, that's been around a couple of years, will know all that information. And
Right.
yeah, like I'm a numbers guy, so I have every spot that I've gone to in the past 8.5 years. So I know which is good and which is bad, and which was good and now it's bad now because of COVID.
That's
Okay, so
excellent.
someone
There's-
was asking about what's the difference in fees from a cart versus a truck? So in LA County, they do have, like, the city has the LA Streets. It's their street vendor program. So it costs about $400 to get your permit for the cart. The cart's probably, I've seen them from 3,000 to 5,000, depending on what your concept is. And we can definitely set up an appointment with you guys to go over that one a little bit different, because it does have a little bit different process. But both processes, if you're getting a new truck or you're taking over another one, you're going to have to go have it inspected and pay a fee for that. And you're going to have to pay a fee for the health permit for the year. So, all right, let's see, we're getting down to the end of our time. So let's
And-
maybe take one or two more questions.
We have one more here that we'll be able to
We
take.
had that hand up there for a while, I remember.
And I never saw a note though.
Okay.
But this was A. Faustini asked, for keeping those tight numbers, do you have a food truck financial template that you follow?
I have made my own one, so I have mine, but you can find some online that makes sense as well. But there's people that sell them and stuff like that. But hit me up and I'll shoot you over mine. It's nothing too crazy. So
Okay, very good. All right. Well, David here says you can also use restaurants as a commissary. So that could be another option as well. All right. Well, with that, thank you so much for all your questions. Thank you for our esteemed panelists today. I don't think we could have picked three better representations, and having different businesses as well. So you guys have all, I know I pulled out some really golden nuggets today from all your experience. So we really appreciate it.
Excellent.
And yes, go ahead.
All right. So you guys, we so appreciate, I learned a lot today. I was actually taking notes. I hope those on the call took some notes too, in terms of kind of your next steps. And regarding projections, I just want to add, Chris, thank you for saying, know your numbers. That's our mantra for our center. Know your numbers. If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. And so that is what we all hope for all of you. Doesn't matter the size of your business, you have to know your numbers. So dig in. Don't be afraid of the numbers. You may be afraid to drive the big truck, like Vanessa said, but don't be afraid of the numbers, right? So, because that's going to be the thing that's going to help you to be able to sustain and make it through things like this terrible pandemic that we have had. So we've got just have a few more things to do. And if we have time, we can come back and take a look at some additional questions. But we did want to do a quick audience poll. One of the things that this particular workshop is because you all asked for food truck, but we're looking at doing even an ongoing class to talk more about the financials and everything as well. So that's why food trucks is on here. But we're going to launch a poll now, and if you would pick the topic, the one topic that you think should be added to the Restaurant Academy. And if you would put that in, and that will continue to help guide our efforts to provide you all with valuable information. All right, we'll take 10 more seconds, please. Thank you all for putting your information in. Couple of more, let's go. Okay. All right. All right. So it looks like actually developing the menu came in higher than the other ones, which was interesting, followed by restaurant marketing. Thank you all for mentioning that. We are looking at that as well. And then the food truck basics. So, and food photography, nothing on developing the outdoor space. So thank you all for that insight. And we will use that as we go forward to be able to share information with you. So a couple of more things and then we'll get to our spin the wheel. Our next so we're doing these quarterly. And so we're so grateful to have panelists. Greg has been with us a couple of times and has utilized so many of our different services. And still, as Greg shared today, you never get old of learning new things for your business. And so you never grow tired of gaining knowledge. And I think Chris was saying, hey, connect with somebody older, work with a center like ours. Vanessa's saying the same thing. You know, how do you learn and grow? And so we're going to be doing these bigger events on a quarterly basis. We have not chosen our topic yet, but that will be coming soon. So look for this on October 18th. Put a note on your calendar and we'll be getting that information out to you again on the 2 to 3 o'clock hour. So we're going to go to spin the wheel so that we can see who, for those that arrived and came in before the 2:30 time, I believe, we're going to spin the wheel and see. Okay, click it. Oh, hold on one second. Let's spin the wheel and see.
What's our first prize? Tell us
Oh,
what our
I'm
prize
sorry.
is.
I forgot the prize. I'll go to that next.
Okay.
Oh, it is Fred. Fred, are you still on the line? That's great. Thank you, Celeste, for sharing that. So Fred, if you would put your email into the chat and we will make sure to contact you and get this information to you. But yes, the question that you all want to know is, what are the prizes? So for those starting a food truck business, we have 2 copies of Running a Food Truck Business, and that may help you to kind of get started, make you get your questions together for meeting with your advisor as well. And then for those that may already be in business, or if you're not, you still can get this Smart and Final gift card. And I'm not sure how much it is. Briagini can tell us what that is. And so the first prize was for the food truck book. All right, so let's go to the next one. And this will be for the Smart and Final gift card. And that is SMGQ. So thank you as well. And SMGQ, if you will put your email in and we will make sure to follow up with you and get your prize. And that was for the Smart and Final card. And then lastly, for the book on starting your food truck. And this is great reading. Learn all that you can. And the winner for that is Michelle. And Michelle, thank you. Congratulations. You have won the book to assist you along your venture of starting your food truck and getting great information that you need. So lastly, guys, we have a couple of upcoming SBDC special events. One is FranNet, and if you are interested in franchise ownership, there are restaurants and things under franchises as well, in addition to other forms of franchises. Learn more with the speaker from FranNet, Christina Hawfield. That's July 20th, so that's next week. And then what we saw during COVID was that so many of our small businesses just didn't have relationships with their banks. And so we want to try to address that. How do you shop and interview for your bank and then also a lender? They may not always be the same. For example, we are not a bank, but we are a lender as Pacific Coast Regionals. But how do you shop and interview your bank? Maybe after the pandemic, it might be time to make some changes. And so this will give you a guide to figure out at least how to go through that process so that you will be noticed as a small business. And we want you all to have good relationships as well. Then finally, these are our upcoming resource webinars. If you are, from new client orientation, that's tomorrow. So for those of you that are new, please join us. We cover some really great information there. Disciplined entrepreneurship, disaster loan training. If you still need loan or lending of any sort, we can assist you. If you have received your PPP and you have a business, and you've received your PPP, don't forget to get forgiveness, because it is still a loan until you apply for forgiveness. Then it becomes a grant. So we want you to have the grant. Make sure that you get your forgiveness. And then we've got these great Restaurant Academy workshops, the leadership, transitioning from a line manager or from the line to the manager. And what if your employee tests positive for COVID? So everyone still on this call, we would like for you to put into the chat one thing that you learned today that you will use in your business. So please share with us. Drop into the chat one thing that you learned today. It could be, there's so much. Oh my gosh, I learned from everything from how much it costs to buy a truck to a commissary. I had to ask Celeste, what is that? Location, third-party booking, so many things that we learned today from our panelists, Chris, Greg, and Vanessa, and we are so grateful for their help. So I hope that you guys are putting that in. That will be part of your planning as you meet with your advisors and continue to work on your businesses. So thank you so much for sharing that, and we just want to thank our guests today, Chris Menard, Greg Dulin, Vanessa Punch. We just thank you all so much for taking the time to share. You guys are so transparent. You're willing to share your business, and we appreciate that, because it's hard and you all know it. And so we appreciate you willing to share your nuggets of wisdom. Greg, we wish we could have the fish with you today down in Tennessee. And so we're hoping to get some when you come back at Dulin. So happy to have you all. We also want to thank, of course, our president and CEO of Pacific Coast Regional, Mark Robertson. Briogeny is on the back line. She's Briogeny Sanders is our marketing coordinator and also helps put these great events together. China Spikes is also in the background, making sure these events run well. And then also we want to thank our advisor, Celeste Young Ramos. She always has great nuggets to share and is coaching our clients successfully. So we thank you all for coming today. Please feel free to let us know if you need an advisor. I hope I put that into the chat. If not, it is on the screen here, info@pcrsbdc.org. Send a note there, say need an advisor. And if you're a restaurant or looking at a food truck, you can specify that, and we'll make sure that you're directed to the advisors with that specialty. And then Celeste, depending on what your needs are, she'll direct you to other advisors on our team. We work as a team. We consult as a team. And so it's a great way for you guys to get all the resources that you need. And what we don't have, we'll direct you to new resources. So again, thank you, presenters. So appreciate you all for coming on. Everybody have a wonderful day. Get these businesses started, know your numbers, make some money, so then you can get generational wealth and use it however you desire. So let's all of our small business on the phone, make the money that you need, know your numbers in the process. Thanks again, everybody. Thank you all. Thanks for coming today.
Bye, guys.
All right. Bye, everybody. And I hope we have the winners that put their information in.
I saved the chat.
Okay. And China and Briogeny, thank you guys so much. And Celeste, always for your planning. Chris, nice to meet you. Okay, he's gone. Greg, thank you for coming.
Sounded like he was having fun.
I know. I want some of that fish now. All right, everybody. That concludes our time today. Thanks again.